Now we'll talk about redox titration. Redox titration is a laboratory method for determining the concentration of a given analyte by causing a redox reaction between the titrant and the analyte. You have to keep in mind that if we are talking about redox titration, there must be a reducing and an oxidizing agent present in the titrant or in the analyte. This type of titration sometimes requires the use of potentiometer or a redox indicator. Redox titration determines the concentration of an unknown solution, analyte, that contain an oxidizing or reducing agent. Not all titrations require an external indicator. Some titrants can serve as their own indicators, such as when potassium permanganate is titrated against a colorless analyte. Potassium permanganate is of purple color, and if you are titrated it against a colorless analyte, you will see the change in color or persistent color of potassium permanganate in the solution. We will discuss in our next slides. So what is reduction? I will repeat something. Addition of hydrogen, removal of oxygen, acceptance of electron. And oxidation is addition of oxygen, removal of hydrogen, donation or loss of electron. So a reducing agent reduce the other, you can say other molecule, but itself get oxidized. A oxidizing agent oxidize the other molecule and reduce itself. So if you see this example that chlorine reacts with 2 bromine with negative charge, you will have 2 chlorine plus bromine molecule. So these are the standard reduction potential relative to standard electrode potential, which is She hydrogen potential, which is the value of 0. A substance with higher reduction potential will oxidize the substance with lower reduction potential. Now, if we talk about the pharmacopoeial assay, this is for ferrous sulfate, hydrogen peroxide, sodium perborate, and benzoyl peroxide. These all are titrated with KMnO4 potassium permanganate, and the endpoint is purple color persist because the color of KMnO4 is purple. And if you add KMnO4 from the burette, if the color of the solution persists, it is your endpoint. And the other example is iodometric titration, and we will also perform in a practical iodometric titration. Iodine is moderately strong oxidizing agent. The oxidation reaction of iodine is as follow, that iodine will get reduced to iodide. Okay, iodine will get reduced to iodide. It will oxidize substance with lower reduction potential. The titration of ascorbic acid is carried out. Ascorbic acid is vitamin C. If we have a iodometric titration of vitamin C tablets available in the market, we will do it with iodine. Then we have iodide, hydroxide and hydrogen ions. The iodine solution is standardized against sodium thiosulfate. The endpoint is detected using starch indicator, which produces a blue coloration with excess iodine is present. So now if we talk about pharmacopoeial assay, we can perform with ascorbic acid, sodium still gluconate, dimercaprol injection. So these all are for pharmacopoeial assay for iodometric titration. Now we will talk about complexometric titration. It is normally performed to determine metal salts. There are different metal salts available in the market like aluminum hydroxide. If we want to determine the concentration of metal salt in a solution, we will perform complexometric titration. Complexometric titration is the detection of mixture of different metal ions present in the solution. It is very accurate, okay, because every drop of your titrant will form a complex with the metal ions. If your metal ions are colorless, the endpoint is also colorless and the complex forms are also colorless. If metal ions are colored, the complexes formed will be colored in nature. And what is the titrant? What type of titrant we will use? It is EDTA. It is ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid. And the indicators we will use is Kalamagite and EBT, and such indicators that change from blue to pink when they complex with calcium or magnesium. But we are using EDTA in complexometric titration, then the endpoint or the color changes from pink to blue. So it is the same in case metal ions are colorless, complex form will also be colorless. If metal ions have a color, complex obtained will also be colored. And the endpoint can be detected by two methods. The first one is visual method. You will use indicators, pH indicator, redox indicators, and metallochromic indicators like EDTA. And if they are already colorless, or no, if they are colored, you will see the color complexes. And the other method is through instrumental method like photometry, potentiometry, or there are different methods which are still under investigation. Like if you have the color method or if you have a colorless method, you can determine through different type of spectroscopic techniques like UV flame, UV visible, and also atomic absorption, how you can determine the formation of complexes through other techniques. There are still different types of technique under investigation. The main techniques which we are using are pH indicators, you can say, or potentiometric titration. So these are two different methods available in different official books and also in different internet sources. So what is EDTA? EDTA is ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid. It is the usual titrant. It forms stable 1-to-1 complexes with all metal except alkali metals. Okay, it can form complexes with all metals except alkali metals such as sodium and potassium. The alkaline earth metals such as calcium, magnesium form complexes which are unstable at low pH range and are titrated in ammonium chloride buffer at pH 10. So if you have alkaline earth metal, then you have to use ammonium chloride as titrant and with the pH of 10. The endpoint of the reaction is detected using a indicator dye. The dye is added to the metal solution at the start of the titration. You have to add the dye at the start of the titration and forms a color complex with a small amount of the metal. The dye will form a complex with a small amount of the metal. The first drop of excess EDTA causes this complex to break up and resulting in a color change. These are some few indicators, and you will also see that there are also specific for specific metals. Like for calcium, you can use 2 types of or 3 types or 4 types of metals. Okay, like for zinc, you can use 2 types of indicators. Like aluminum, you will use only 1 type of indicator. Okay, so there are long list of all metals with the name of indicators. And the pharmacopoeial assay for titration with EDTA is magnesium carbonate, calcium acetate, calcium chloride. So these all are pharmacopoeial assay for titration with EDTA. Whereas insoluble metal salts, so there are some metal salts which are insoluble, are estimated by back titration. You can also perform back titration with insoluble metal salt which are not soluble in any other solvent. Then how you will perform back titration? The sample is heated with excess EDTA. Okay, then you will mix your insoluble metal salt with excess of EDTA to form stable EDTA complex of the metal line, and then the excess EDTA is titrated with salt solution of magnesium or zinc of non-concentration. Non-concentration means non-molarity, molarity. So if you have insoluble metal salt, you will perform back titration. In back titration, what you will do, you will heat the solution with excess of EDTA to form stable EDTA complexes of the metal, and then the excess of EDTA is titrated with the solution of magnesium or zinc of non-concentration. And for back titration of EDTA, we have aluminum hydroxide, aluminum sulfate. These all are the insoluble metal salts, and you have to perform back titration with EDTA.